silent scream. Heartbeat loud in the in-between. World asleep but my mind won't rest. Standing right on tomorrow's edge. Numbers fall and the candles shake. Every risk is a step I take. No applause and no safety net. Just a promise I haven't met. I've been down where the doubt is loud. I've been lost in the digital crowd. But the signal cuts through the noise and it pulls me now. I'm standing on tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. No guarantees, but I'm on my way. If I fall, I rise. That's the game I play. Tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. Late night glow from a silent screen. Heartbeat loud in the in-between. World asleep but my mind won't rest. Standing right on tomorrow's edge. Numbers fall and the candles shake. Every risk is a step I take. No applause and no safety net. Just a promise I have. I've been down with it loud. I've been lost in the digital crowd. But the signal cuts through the noise and it pulls me now. I'm standing on tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. No guarantee, but I'm on my way. If I fall, I rise. That's the game I play. Tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway.
Alright, legends. For some of you late, for some of you early, but for me it's still early here on a Friday morning. What a great collaboration I had with Andy yesterday. I read through some of the comments that you guys posted after the fact, and yes, I think it was an absolute amazing collaboration between myself and Andy, just sharing some knowledge. And myself and Andy actually does that often in private, you know, where we just phone each other. Sometimes it's me going, Andy, what the hell is going on with the charts? Okay, and sometimes it's Andy, Dewald, can you make sense of the structure? You know, it's nice to have that trading buddy. And when you hit the ground, okay, and you're feeling a little bit low, it's nice to bounce ideas around and find those, you know, sometimes you just have to rely on another person. You know, I've often found that sometimes I'm just like, I'm not sure. And then I'll see what Andy's posting. I'm like, yeah, I think you're onto something, Mr. Andy. I think you're onto something. I'm going to take your trade. And sometimes Andy does the same to me. Deal, I'm going to take your trade. Okay. It's great to have that person to rely on. What a great collaboration. If you haven't checked it out, there was so much education inside of that session. And myself and Andy also had a lot of conversations afterwards. After we said goodbye and we closed the stream, we were still looking at the structure. Okay, and I want to discuss some of what we've discussed last night as well. So remember to smash up that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, this is where we do loads of education, okay? Teaching people how to trade by themselves so that you don't have to watch other influencers do this. Let me say hi to the community, because one thing I told Andy yesterday as well. Andy, one thing that I'm really bad at is reading comments and, just spending some time with the community. And Andy's quite good with that. He goes through the comments often. So let me try a little bit of a different style today. Okay, let me go here onto the chat and shove myself here in the corner. Whoops, shove myself there in the corner. Just put the screen back. There we go. Let me go through some comments. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so that everyone can see the comments. Yeah, you guys should be able to read that. All right, let's go through the comments a little bit in this style so that I'm not in the way and I can go through some comments, say hi to the beautiful community. Guys, it's Friday. Let's just relax. I'm not going to do a serious live stream. And, trading is serious enough, guys. It's serious enough to trade with your cash and risking your capital every time. So let's do a little bit of a relaxing live stream here. I'm going to go through the levels together. We're going to analyze what we spoke about yesterday, where price is at the moment, what can we expect. Not much has changed. Okay, not much has changed, but let's see. Okay, hi, Devilled. Crypto Analyze Balkan. I know who you are. We've been messaging each other. Welcome to the live stream, man. Welcome to the live stream. Smash up that like button. Hi, Devil Joan. Guys, if you don't know this Joan person over here, yeah, he's an amazing Elliott wave counter, and he loves to spend time on the smaller time frames, counting the little mini structures. He's inside of our community, providing the community with updates throughout the day. Every single day, I see about 10, 20 posts. Different scenarios here on the 1 minute, 5 minute time frame from Mr. Joan. Mr. Joan was also the person that pointed out to me that, Devil, this structure, okay, let's go back here onto the 15-minute time frame. Okay, because guys, I don't like doing Elliott wave theory on small structures. There's just too much noise in the chart. I'm just going to keep myself here in the corner, here in the back, okay, because I'm going to go back to the comments. Ooh, alarm going off. Bitcoin breaking out. Are we going to get the breakout now finally here to the upside? And this is part of what I wanted to discuss today. So you guys can see my chart is still the same. Nothing has really changed since yesterday. Okay. But Mr. Joan was that person that pointed out to me, Devilled, it's really difficult on the 1 minute time frame, 30 seconds time frame, however small you want to go, to count an impulse down in this structure. And then after he showed me that, because, I don't want to go and spend hours of my time counting the smaller time frames. I don't have to anymore because I play bigger moves, okay? And I have multiple scenarios. If the one gets invalidated, I know the next scenario that I'm looking at. But he's the one that pointed out to me, Devil, it's very difficult to count this as an impulsive structure. So if you want to count this as a 1-2 and a 1-2 and another 1-2, it doesn't work. So the only double 1-2, and it's also what I discussed yesterday, is a 1. You have a beautiful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correction, WXY, running flat, however you want to count it. So you have an impulse, correction. You have an impulse, correction. Now the question is this another impulse, correction, and we're going to fall to the downside? And that is the bearish case scenario. Remember what I said yesterday, guys. Okay, there's some bullish case scenarios that I'm going to go through now as well. The bulls really needs to now claim this high, guys. The bulls really needs to claim that high for confirmation that price has a chance to move higher and claim this high. Sometimes you have to wait for confirmation, okay? But if you can enter a trade with great risk management and you can take profits and protect position, you can still play the momentum to the upside. So maybe, that's where you're long. Maybe you have a tight little stop loss. Price goes up and it fails to claim this level. You've at least still made profit from that little move you protect, okay? It just depends on your trading style, what time frame you like to trade. I'm going to explain that scenario in a moment. Right, so what makes sense? Let's discuss the most bearish case scenario. And I like to use polylines, okay? Because Mr. Joan also knows that when you have to go and use proper Elliott wave structures, it takes you a while to go and put them all together. But in a nutshell, what you're looking for, the most bearish case scenario, you have a 5-wave move down here. You have a corrective structure, 3-wave, 1, 2, 3 wave. You have another impulsive structure down there. Complex corrective structure. You want to see overlap. You do have overlap between your multiple 1-2s. And is this now another 1 and another 2? and then you absolutely fall here to the downside, and price needs to start slowing down before it gets upwards momentum again. So you can see in this scenario, okay, let me grab my pen, guys, and I'm chilled today. I'm a little bit relaxed. Let me, before I do that, I'm going to go through some more comments and say hi to the community. Okay, what I'm looking for in this scenario, if we do not claim this high, this scenario is still very, very valid. Okay, as long as price does not claim this high, you could fall very aggressively to the downside. What I will be looking for, so if I do attempt a long in this zone, I really don't mind getting stopped out of this position because it can get really nasty to the downside. But in this scenario, okay, I want to see price fall. It needs to slice like a hot knife through butter. And I want to see volume increasing, selling pressure kicking in. And then I want price to double, triple top a bottom here at the downside. You want price to slow down. Okay. And you want volume to also decrease. So you want to see volume decreasing. And that means that the bears are running out of steam. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is a very interesting longing opportunity. You might not have levels. Maybe you miss the levels, the monthly levels. We have weekly levels. There's daily levels. There's naked point of controls. There's a lot of levels down here. But sometimes I just look at the structure that is forming. I want price to fall with high volume. I want double, triple bottoms on a lower amount of volume. That's where I get interested in a long. That is where I build a position. I work out where I want my invalidation, and I will keep the community up to date if this had to play out. And I will tell the community where I'm entering and where I'm building my position. Okay, if you guys want to be part of the community, we have an amazing deal running at the moment. 2 months free access. DM me the word. Do I have it here? DM me the word access on Telegram using this link. You follow some instructions. You have to sign up with one of my affiliates, have a minimum deposit, and we'll give you access for free for 2 months. It's your money to trade with. You're not giving us any cash. Okay, if you guys want to come check out what the community is all about. But that is where myself and Andy spend most of our time, is inside of the community. Okay, I can't be on YouTube forever, but I can keep an eye on the community and keep them updated with the trades that I'm planning to take. Okay, most bearish case scenario, guys, we know it's Friday. Okay, we can expect some volatility on Friday because usually we get some nice volatility on Friday before the markets close for the weekend. So most bearish case scenario is price does not claim this high and it falls down with an increasing amount of volume. And I want to see choppiness. Maybe it builds a little, maybe it builds that little flag and you play the breakout of the flag. You know exactly where to put your stop loss. So you can be patient with that trade, because once price falls with an increasing amount of volume, there's no ways that I am longing over there. I need to see the bears run out of steam. That is not running out of steam, because this can continue. No, that's not, unless you have levels and you can play the swing failure patterns. Because I have seen some successful traders, okay, they play the bounce, they take profits. It falls again. SFPs, they play the bounce, they take profit. So they can trade this range from a scalping perspective. It does take experience, and you need to be sniper about it, and you need to protect your capital. So you can trade the structure. Okay, I prefer the bigger moves. That's my preference and how I like to trade. I would rather wait for a sign of strength, not enter here. I would rather enter there, because now I have information that tells me that price can get a bounce back to the upside. I would rather trade that than stuff around inside here. That's my preference. Okay, and as always, guys, disclaimer, I'm not a financial advisor. You do you. I encourage you to do your own research. I'm just sharing with you my trading plan, my ideas. And I encourage you to use proper risk management if you do consider trading. And right, you are responsible for your own cash at the end of the day. Remember, every time you enter a trade, you expose your cash to risk. So no trade is also a trade, because you're preserving capital. And you're waiting for that structure to make sense so that you can take that trading decision. Okay, now, this is basically, for now, the most bearish case scenario that I see at the moment. But you can see that I'm still, even if we fall and it looks like the world is coming to an end, I'm still very interested in longs in the zone, because when I zoom out into the larger structure, I'm very aware that you could have your 1, 2, 3 highest amount of volume, 4, 5. Very aware of this. It could also be an ABC flat, but my directional bias is exactly the same. Whether this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you get a larger three-wave structure, or whether this is a 1, 2, 3, you get an ABC to finish your fourth wave here, and then you fall again to the downside. My directional bias is up. Very interesting longing opportunity. Can you guys see? And this is how Elliott wave theory assists me to get directional bias. And this is why I kept on saying on the streams and in my conversations with Andy and inside of the community, I am still more interested in longs than I am in shorts. Because you cannot have such damage to the downside and not at least get a little bit of a relief rally to the upside. Okay? Yes, we already had a relief rally, but it's a very short correction to just capitulate to the downside. The worst case scenario on the 1 hour that I technically see possible at the moment is, let me just clean up the chart, is a WXY. So I need to zoom out into the 4-hour time frame for this one. What if, okay, worst case scenario, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a W. That was an X, three-wave structure in X, and we're still finishing up a Y wave. And you might look at this Y over here and think, there's no ways. Why is Dewald looking for longs? Is he absolutely crazy? The reason I'm looking for longs, even in the worst case scenario, is because I know that a Y wave has to have a three-wave structure. It has to have an A, a B, and a C. It has to have a three-wave structure. Okay? Three-wave structure, three-wave structure, three-wave structure to complete the Y wave. So I'm still looking for a bounce before we take out the lows again. Or, you know, maybe it's that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we get the bounce. Maybe it's the A, B, C, okay, or the 3, A, B, C, take the low again, get the bounce. But you can see I have directional bias where most scenarios for me point to a bounce in this zone. Sorry guys, I know it gets messy here with all the drawings. But basically from a directional bias perspective, and guys, this is why I trade with stop losses, okay? Because you could be wrong. That's why we trade with stop losses. And right, so with or without claiming this low, it's still a very interesting longing opportunity for me. Sorry guys, I need to put my face back on the screen, but I want to go through a little bit more comments before I do so. Mr. Nico, welcome to the live stream. Okay, let's do this. People are talking BTC will go further down to 30K. Is that high probability? Not now. Not now. No, not without a relief bounce at least. So, because, you know, from a worst case perspective, what I've said is if we're going to go down here, so let's say $30,000, okay? If we're going to go down to $30,000, you can't just go there in a straight line, because remember, the market moves in waves. And the more mature the market, the bigger the waves and the more they get respected. So you can see we had a dump, massive dump, scared the crap out of everyone. But then you have a relief rally. You had a massive dump on a massive amount of volume. It's only natural to have a relief rally. And then you can continue. Yes, so there is a chance to get to 30K, but not from here. It doesn't make, technically it doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay guys, let me put myself back here where I belong, on the left hand side or right hand side of the screen. There we go. So you guys can watch you. Okay. Right, so to your point and to your comment, yes, you can get down to $30,000, okay? There's also some Fibonacci levels that you can keep an eye on. WXY, you take your trend-based Fib extension from the, there you go, okay? From the high to the low of W to the high of X. Now you have some targets, and you can see, okay, most common target, let me first highlight the most common targets is the 786, Some people will argue with me and they will say it's not a common target. I'm telling you now, it's a common target. From my back testing, I've seen WXYs smack the 786. Okay, but then, okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Well, Dewald, why is your Y down here if this is a target? Okay, because you can move Y there. And now you have to count this structure as an A, B, C, W, X, Y. Done. The low should be protected and you want to see momentum back to the upside. So there's a chance. And the 786, ladies and gentlemen, is a Y wave target. But I'm now entertaining the fact that, well, what if we go to $30,000, like social media is saying at the moment? What if we go here to $30,000? Well, then simply you expect a larger three-wave structure, a 1, 2, 3. Okay, and this little zone over here is a very common Y wave zone. Very, very common. Okay, between $41,000 and $34,000 is a very, because you can definitely wick here below, dance around in the zone like Andy likes to say, and then you find upwards momentum. Okay, 1-to-1 extension, also very, very common. So I think it's a good idea to have these fib levels marked out on your chart, where you take it from the high to the low to the high, and now you have your levels here marked out. Look at that beautiful swing failure pattern that we had from the 786. So yeah, you could have entered your stop below the low. You should now be in profits. Maybe you protected position depending on how you manage your trade. Okay, still expecting upwards momentum. Right. So yes, just to answer your question, you can get down here. You can. Okay, but to my point, that Y can also move, yeah. And now you have an ABC. ABC that tapped to 2.618, which is not common for a C wave, but I have seen it happen, especially in crypto. It happens a lot in crypto, maybe not in the stock markets, because you have to also think or consider the fact that Elliott wave theory was designed around stock markets. Okay, so a lot of the rules that's applied to Elliott wave theory might not be applicable to crypto. Okay, and I'm not talking about the hardcore rules that doesn't need to be broken. I'm talking about sometimes this level is considered a rare target, okay, for a WXY. But on crypto, it hits the 1.618 every single time, or most often. So some targets, I give them leeway, especially on crypto. Guys, I just want to put the music a little bit softer here. Right. Remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already, because this is, this is where we drop the education, the alpha. But these are some very interesting levels to have on your chart. Okay. If price wants to fall, and it gets a reaction, I'm interested. Like it did over here. That's why I entered that long. Okay. Maybe you get another bounce and then it continues. Okay. And then it bounces here. I'm interested. But these levels, Fibonacci levels, you guys don't understand how powerful these levels are. When you start backtesting these levels on previous structures, it's just like, my word, it bounced exactly at this level. It bounced exactly at this level. I don't even need proper support and resistance from a price action perspective. I often just trade with Fibonacci levels because I know how well they get respected. Okay, and the community knows. And Dewald loves Fibonacci levels, even here on the smaller time frames. Okay, guys, let's get back into this little structure over here. So definitely there's a chance to hit $30,000. The most obvious structure at the moment, you can count this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not my favorite because of the extended fifth way to the downside. I'd rather prefer to count it as a WXY. ABC and a Y. It's my preferred way. So, I mean, if you want to speculate on the low being in, my preferred count would be a WXY to the downside. Okay, so now let's get back here onto the 15-minute time frame. Let's talk about, well, what could happen here. Okay, because this is now where the trading opportunities lies. This is the structure that everyone is interested in. The only other structure I quickly want to recap here quickly, okay, because I like to start with this structure on the 1 hour time frame, is this one. Okay, this structure is still very much in play until it's invalidated. Okay, I see multiple 1-2s on lower time frames to the upside 5 minute. We'll jump into that in a moment. Okay, on the 1 hour time frame, okay, there's still the potential for a 1, 2, 3, okay. 4 is either in, and now we're talking about that bearish case scenario. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, which basically means you move 4 over there, you can move 5 over there. Or, and it's not clear, but this is where my directional bias comes in. I'm looking for a long. It would be very rare after a wave like this to get another capitulation to the downside. Most of the damage has already been done. So what makes more sense from a technical perspective is to stop out all the early longs and then get a bounce back to the upside. So I have directional bias that I'm looking for long. Another scenario is, let me just move this little fourth wave. It moves over here. 5 moves over there. And then what happens is you get an A, a B, and a C. And then it falls. But you can see I still have directional bias. I want to see a move up first before we take the low. Or maybe we take the low, we go up, B flat, okay, and then we take the, but it's still, I'm looking for a long. I'm looking for a long, I'm looking for a long. Okay, definitely looking for a short. If we tap the 50% Fibonacci over here and we do that, what happened here at the 0.382, I'm definitely interested in a short. Okay, because the beauty about having a short like I have at the moment, I entered a short over here. Last night I added a little bit to that position. But the beauty about having this hedge short is that when I build a long position and price falls, I still make profits from the short, although I'm losing a little bit of money with a long. That's the beauty, guys. So definitely interested in a short in this zone. And while I'm looking for longs over here, this short is paying whatever I might lose trying to look for that long. Okay. There's nothing better than having a proper hedge short or long in place depending on which momentum you want to trade in. So this is the scenario on the 1 hour time frame. Now let's go back here onto the 15-minute. And remember, guys, if you want more updates, I actually did a private community update just before this live stream. So if you guys want, exclusive updates from myself and Andy, and I'm sure Andy's going to jump into the community soon as well. That's the link, first link down in the description. DM me the word access, the instructions is there. Okay, and we'll guide you how to get access for 2 months for free in the community. Okay, so guys, I'm still in this trade. Okay, and this is also what I highlighted yesterday to the community. My entry last night, because I shared this last night as well, was a little bit higher on my short. Okay, my short was over here. I added ever so slightly to my short position to maximize on the profits here to the downside. I took a little bit of profits from the short because I like to get stopped out with profits. Okay, but I'm very close to my long being stopped out, but I'm still very interested in longs even if I get stopped out of the long. Still very interested in longs, but then the short, okay, will pay me my dividends on the way down when I'm looking for a new long. Okay, and this is now the opportunities we need to discuss. It's just about trade management at the end of the day. Okay, so now on the 5-minute time frame, okay, myself and Andy spoke about this after the stream. Do you guys remember that collab that myself and Andy did yesterday? We were talking about a potential for a 1, 2, and a 1 and a 2 not claim the low. Okay, and then from a timing perspective, I told everyone, if I measure this impulse 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, from a timing perspective, I am not interested in a long until price gets past my 0.382. And then price fell and took the low. Did not pass the 0.382. Now you can see why my trading rules keeps me profitable. Because my trading rules state that you should not enter Dewald. Dewald, you do not enter unless price goes sideways into my zone that I'm interested in from a timing perspective. And it took the low before it surpassed my time requirement. So there was no long for me to be taken. I didn't enter this long. Okay, and I made that was clear in the live stream. We did say, well, when we made this little dip here, 786, it is great risk management because, I mean, to get an entry as close as possible to invalidation, I mean, risk management at the end of the day is king. So it was worth an attempt. You did get a bounce here to the upside. Okay, and then we just took the low. But I was not interested in a long until price got here. And I told everyone, price needs to go sideways without claiming the low inside of my zone. Then I'm interested in a long. So my rules told me that there's no trade to be taken, and we fell to the downside. Okay. Now, someone highlighted a double 1-2 here to the upside, okay, in this local little structure. 1-2, it can even be multiple 1-2s, okay? Guys, I'm not going to go and count this on the 1 minute time frame, okay? Knock your socks off if you want to do that. But I can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe it's a small little 1, 2. Maybe this is a 1, 2. Another 1, 2. And now it's just going to absolutely explode here to the upside. Okay, multiple 1-2s. The other scenario that I highlighted to the community is to say that, well, maybe it's a contracting diagonal. Okay, but nested 1-2s actually carries higher probability than a contracting diagonal. Maybe it's this. Okay, and if it is this, it's not time for the correction to be finished. Because this low was made before the 0.382. But now that you've highlighted a double or a triple 1-2, time doesn't matter. Because from a probability perspective, if this is 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, did not take the low, that was your invalidation, and it's going to fly over here, okay, this impulse has its correction, and that balances. This impulse has its correction, this impulse has its correction, and now it needs to fly, and it should not take this low. Well, that's your hardcore invalidation. So for this trade that's breaking out here at the moment, now you guys know that here's your trading opportunity. Okay. In this scenario, price needs to continue. In this scenario, okay, I don't really like to enter a trade after it's already broken out, but I mean, I can check that out here on my stuff. It's literally just breaking out of trend, because this is also something that I spoke about in the private community, is to say that, guys, usually, most instances, and I've seen this play out often, when you get the fake out and you take the low, the next breakout is the true move. So this really does look interesting, okay? If you want to play it safe, okay, I can only tell you guys how I would trade this, okay? Because if it's a multiple 1-2, you should not take this low. If price is going to accelerate to the upside, that is where I would put my stop loss. Okay? I'm not a financial advisor, remember, guys. Okay, and my trading scenario or my trading would look something like this. So maybe you enter a little bit late. I will target the first major resistance zone to the upside, and that is your stop loss. Okay, risk to reward is 2.4, so it meets my minimum requirement. And you let the trade play out. Okay, so there's your first trading opportunity. Yeah, live in the live stream. Okay, maybe I should take this trade, guys. Maybe I should take this trade here on BTCC, because I'm not in a trade here on BTCC. Okay, I'm just going to use way less capital. It's just not... I would have liked to enter a little bit lower. What is my leverage? 20. Okay, let's open a small little position over here. Stop loss. TP. Come on, load up, load up. There we go. There we go. Just want to see if that is in balance. 69. I just want to drag this down a little bit. 69. Okay, 69. There we go. 69. There we go. There's the trade. Let's see if this plays out. Risk to reward. We have the bit. And guys, the reason I'm entering this trade is because I know from a probability perspective, and this is 5 minute stuff, guys. Anything can happen here on the 5 minutes. From a probability perspective, a multi 1-2 carries higher probability than a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. It's also very rare to see a flat structure inside of a contracting structure. Okay, it's rare, not common. What's most common is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you want to see acceleration. This is why I have my stop loss here, because if it is a multi 1-2, you do not want, price should not claim that low. Okay, hope that makes sense. What is CVD doing in Bybit? Are all the Bybit bros longing here now at the moment? Let's see what's happening. Let me just refresh this. Dewald forgot YouTube password. Dewald forgot YouTube password. What do you mean? I forgot YouTube password. No, CVD is still neutral here. Fear and greed already reached to 5. That created history. It did. Guys, me and Andy spoke about this yesterday as well. Okay. When you see this, yesterday it was at 5. Do you guys know how many times it's gone below that level, or it's gone that low? Okay, let's zoom out here and look at this max chart over here. You can see historically, since it doesn't have all the data here, okay, but since 2018, we've only hit that level, okay, twice. Okay, yeah, and historically that has been the best buying opportunity. Historically, from a fear and greed perspective. Because when you are inside, where's my pen? For me, from an investment perspective, and this is not from a trading perspective, okay, this is what I do from an investment perspective. When price hits this zone, okay, this is the best place to buy. And I've actually done a video about this. I'm not sure if that video is still on my channel. Okay, maybe I took it down. I can't remember. I actually did a video on this. From an investment perspective, you don't often get an opportunity to buy in this zone. And if you do, okay, I take advantage of it. Because this is where people are the most fearful. This is where people don't want to buy. And this is where I buy. I buy when price is here. Because I know no one wants to buy here. And look at where price is now. It's in my zone where I need to start buying. I sent Andy a message the other day and I told him I bought some Bitcoin. I bought a little bit of ETH, added to my spot backs. Because for me, technically, this is the best zone to buy. I don't care if Bitcoin still goes to $30,000. Then I'll buy a little bit more. But historically, this zone has been the best place to buy. And you don't hit it often. Okay, you don't buy here. Because that's where retail buys. This is when this stream, how many people do we have here? Okay, we have 220 people watching this stream now. When I go live and there's 10,000 people watching this stream, it's because we are here. And that is where everyone else buys except you, because we are smart, we are clever. We bought here. Okay, and we're going to watch those 9,800 people, and we're going to say, well, we need to start taking profits, which means that we, the smart money, takes profit into retail. It's a sad reality, but it's the truth. That's how it works. We need retail to come back so that we can take profits. And once, guys, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. When the fear and greed goes back up, that is where I take profits. That is where I offload. That is where I start selling. But I do not buy here. I can't say that I don't buy here, because I do buy a little bit of Bitcoin every single month. That's part of my trading or my investment plan. I buy a little bit of Bitcoin every month when it's full moon. There's a reason behind that. But then from a more aggressive deployment perspective, you know, where I put a little bit more significant cash in my portfolio, it's here. Okay, very interesting. So thanks for pointing that out. Yes, fear and greed. Guys, just for financial purposes, okay, I went in with a small amount over here, okay. Guys, I'm not risking an arm and a leg. I'm giving the potential of a double or triple 1-2 here a chance to play out, and also just for fun. I'm placing a trade here for fun. Okay. Right. But as long as price, okay, and this is now the good thing, as long as price can now remain like it did over here, it was not time. I explained yesterday why this was not a longing opportunity for me. This is way more interesting for me because this can be multi 1-2s and it explodes to the upside, where I don't have to wait for my timing requirement. Okay, but I know exactly where to put my stop loss. So there's a chance, and I know there's also the chance. I know this can happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. It stops me out, and then it continues. I know that there's a possibility, but I also know in Elliott wave theory, a flat inside of a diagonal is not common. So I'm just trading with probabilities at the moment. And sometimes the probabilities don't play out, and that is why I have a stop loss. Okay, so let's continue, guys. Fun little trade that we are in. Always a chance of getting stopped out, of course, okay? The next level to the downside, we've spoken about the most bearish case scenario. The most bullish case scenario is that this is multi-1-2s. This is now your most bullish case scenario, and you explode to the upside. Okay, and a nice little third wave. You want to see volume increase, and you want to see that choppiness, double tops, triple tops. Okay, and then that also then becomes an interesting longing opportunity because you have an impulse, correction, continuation. So if you miss this move, okay, because remember the most important level for the bulls to claim is this high. For now, is this high. So once you see the impulse, you could say that I'm going to sit on my hands. I'm not going to do anything. I want the structure to show me strength. You're going to have to wait for all of this. And then the retracement becomes an interesting longing opportunity. Okay, because for confirmation for the bulls to continue higher, you need to claim this pivot. You have to claim that pivot. You have to invalidate multiple 1-2s to the downside, because remember the most bearish case scenario is a 1, 2, 1, 2, another 1, 2, and you fall to the downside. That's why I have my stop loss in place, because I know this can play out. But if price continues up here and it claims this high, then I know you invalidate multiple 1-2s. Okay. Right, guys, and I'll obviously keep the community up to date, because sometimes price develops in a way that I did not expect. It happens, okay, and you just have to adapt. So, guys, we were looking at this, stuff that, throw it out the window. This is what I see right now. Okay, so I will keep the community up to date. Remember, link down in the description. DM me the word access. Ooh, Mr. A Trader. Now, this is a nice little profile picture that you have here. Thanks for joining the stream. Much appreciated. Don't tell them we bought lower. Yes, don't tell them we bought lower. Because we need to take profits, guys. We're going to all be laughing at those people when they come back. Yes, sir, the legend, Mr. Matt in the house. If you guys haven't checked out Matt's content, go and check him out, guys. He's an absolute legend. I think we should, I told Matt the other day, I think we three, me, Matt, and Andy, we must do a collab together. Okay, we're going to plan that, guys. We're going to do a collab together. Myself, Matt, and Andy. Right, Dewald forgot YouTube password. I'm not sure what you mean by this. Dewald forgot YouTube password. I don't know what you mean by that. Okay, I see multi 1-2s on lower time frames. Okay, this is basically the multi 1-2s. Meme Cat, thanks for pointing that out. Yes, this is what we're speaking about now, but price needs to start accelerating. Okay, it needs to, if this is multiple 1-2s here to the upside, price needs to start going. It needs to start going, because if this is 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, maybe even, okay, it needs to go. It needs to start accelerating. Yeah, you could still form, okay, 1, 2, 3, or this is an, yeah, we'll see. Let's see how this plays out. Many things that can play out over here, but at some point you just have to make that trading decision with good risk management, and you have to play the probabilities, for me at least. Okay. What else? Let's try and get 200 likes to show Dewald our... Yes, guys, if you enjoy the content over here, remember to smash up that like button. And one more scenario that I wanted to point out. One more scenario. Maybe I also want to talk about ETH. I want to show you guys a structure, a macro structure here on the price of... Well, on the Ethereum chart. I know a lot of you don't even want to look at altcoins at the moment, but ETH looks very interesting. Okay, so another scenario, and guys, I'm just going to keep it simple. You will see that I have not dived into Elliott wave scenarios, okay, trying to count the structure. I'm trying to keep it simple over here. Another scenario is switch on your levels. Make sure that you have your levels marked out. Now you can also see why this pivot is so important, because you have a fresh point of control that printed last night there. And if price moves up there and rejects, okay, because now remember, I can still make profits from the long that I'm in, as long as I take profit and I protect my position. Okay, so in the worst case scenario, I can still make profit out of this move. So let's say price does continue here, but it does not take the low. It can still fall in a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. Okay, but I want to see the slowdown, and I've gone through the scenario during the beginning of the stream. So, you know, you need to have your profit, for me at least, okay, definitely a profit taking area, because as long as price still makes a lower high, there's the chance for this move to the downside, and it's a very dangerous move. Okay, so next area that I will pay attention to is if price wants to cool down and fall and do another fake out, okay, I will be paying attention to this naked point of control. Okay, and there's another daily level as well. So without looking at Elliott wave theory per se, I know that we still have support and we still have support. This naked point of control aligns with the 0.618 when you take a fib from the low to the high. This daily level aligns with the 0.786. So if I get a reaction and I can get in with a nice little SFP, I will take the opportunity. And same over here. Okay, the difference is, and this is what I explained yesterday as well, when we explained this 1, 2, 1, 2, I told everyone if price falls and it slows down, that is what gives me confidence to look for long entries. Okay, so if price falls down and slows down, remember, in the most bearish case scenario, you want price to slice, you want high volume, it needs to cut like a hot knife through butter. If I don't see that, then I know, okay, we can get a bounce here, we can get a bounce here, maybe some crazy complex corrective structure, we get the bounce, we form the higher low, and then we continue to the upside. Let me go through some more comments. There we go. Let's go ETH. Okay, so you guys do want to look at ETH. Do you guys want to look at ETH? Okay. Good morning, legends. Welcome to the live stream. Much love, Dewald. Thanks for joining this lazy... Guys, I'm calling it a lazy Friday stream because it's also raining here outside. The weather is miserable. It's that typical weather where you just want to kick off your shoes, grab a blanket, make some popcorn, and watch a nice little movie. It's one of those days, and that's why I'm also so chilled here on the live stream today. Okay, the weather is just very chilling, I suppose. Okay, cozy. What did I want to say now? Okay, that's basically it for now. Remember, guys, if you want more updates in the community, link is down in the description. 2 months free access. DM me the word access to get free access. Okay, ETH. Yes, let's do ETH. Let's go, guys. I'm going to keep it simple. I've already marked out the levels and the scenarios over here. Unfortunately, I didn't do this count on the index chart, so it is missing some price action over here. ETH is missing some price action over here, but when I went and I looked at the index chart, price comes from here. Okay, so guys, this is the 2-day chart. This is macro time frame analysis. Okay, so since the beginning, okay, once upon a time when ETH was created, in the beginning, we have formed a 5-wave structure to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful impulse. The reason ETH has been so boring and has not been performing is because it has been correcting the impulse. Okay. So once you have an impulse and the impulse has to correct itself, well, maybe you can't expect a bull market because the impulse is still correcting itself. But it's the next move that becomes very interesting. And it's that one. That is the move that becomes interesting. That is where ETH outperforms Bitcoin. Okay, so in this scenario, guys, and I know there's a couple of other scenarios as well. I just wanted to talk about this one today. You have formed an impulse to the upside and you've formed a corrective structure in a W, X, And this is where it becomes interesting. Y is either here, and then we move up, or there's a slightly different. So let's just talk about this scenario. In this scenario, okay, you have formed a three-wave A, B, which can be counted as a three-wave structure, and now you're finishing up your C wave, which preferably takes the low at $1,300. Because in an ABC flat, your most common flat corrective structure is for B to hit a flat target, which it did, and for C to take the low of A. So in the most bearish, short-term bearish case scenario is maybe ETH comes and eats up this low. And then you get that. Because after a 1 and after a 2, what do you get? You get a 3 to the upside. And this can get really explosive, guys. It can get really, really, really explosive. So maybe ETH's time is going to come. Okay. There is another count that supports an even more bullish scenario. Okay. I don't like it that much, but you can put your A wave there, and you can move your B over there, and you can move your C over there, and you could say, okay, well, Y came to an end over there, and this is number 2, and now you have formed an impulse to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means this low should not be claimed, and this becomes your first 1, your 2. You should not claim the low, and you want to see a 3 and a 4 and a 5 inside of your third wave. Okay, so I think if you consider that the low is in on Bitcoin, because this is the only way that you're going to get this. If you consider that the low is in on Bitcoin, then this scenario could play out. If you consider that Bitcoin can still maybe correct to the upside, give us a little bit of a relief rally, but we're going to go to $40,000 still and continue the bear market, then the following scenario makes more sense, that maybe 2 is going to be over there. And you just extend. B is over there. C is over there. Y extends to this zone as well. And A is over there. And this is if Bitcoin is still going to continue the correction to the downside, where this is A, B, C, and then we form a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. So I just wanted to share a little bit of macro analysis here on the price of Ethereum. And this is currently my primary count for the moment. I'm just not sure whether that's the low or whether we're going to make one more low. Okay, and I know on the higher time frames, yeah, that's quite significant. Okay, but what makes this so interesting for me is that I'm accumulating ETH, me personally, and I'm not telling anyone what they need to do with their money. Okay, I am buying ETH because I know it's the best zone, because I'm still expecting a move to the upside. So for me, whether I'm buying ETH here or whether I'm going to buy ETH here, okay, it's a great zone for me to build my ETH portfolio, because I know that that is on the horizon at some point. I don't know when that's going to happen, but at some point it's going to go. Okay, for me, based on my technical analysis, and you do your own research, guys. Okay, and it can go from here. And this is why, guys, this is why I am buying now already, because I cannot wait for this level. Because what if it doesn't happen? What if W, X, Y ended over here? You have a 5-wave impulse, 3-wave corrective structure, and you continue in a wave 3. Because now you only wanted to buy there, you missed the whole move. And then what do? You don't want to FOMO, okay, when everyone's starting to take profits. I would rather build a position here with a mindset that this is a long-term thing. It could bounce here, it could bounce here, but this is the zone where I'm very interested to build an Ethereum portfolio. Okay, so this week I bought Bitcoin and ETH. That's all I bought. I added Bitcoin and ETH to my spot bags. I can only share with you guys what I do, but you need to do your own research. Okay, Bitcoin is at the end of the day the much safer asset to buy, but I think out of all the altcoins, I'd rather buy ETH. You know, this is the queen of the alts. So, Dewald, what do you think of NEO, wave theory with mono waves? NEO, yes, it sounds familiar. I would have to get back to you on that. Bled Daramat 8062. I would have to get back to you on that. I'm not familiar with that. I'm not mono waves. I'm not familiar with that. I kind of want to look at ADA. Oh, you guys want to look at some altcoins. Okay. Unfortunately, legends, I have run out of time. Yes, I have run out of time. So maybe I'll do another live stream over the weekend and maybe we can look at some alts, because I did see as soon as I start talking about altcoins, the viewers drop. Okay. So people are here mainly for Bitcoin at the moment. No one wants to even think about altcoins. But what I can do is maybe do a dedicated altcoin live stream, where we can do some scenarios, look at the probabilities. But for me, technically, ETH looks beautiful. Okay. And, you know, let me just put a line here, guys. Let me just put a line. Okay. So ETH is at the moment, well, that low was created at $1,700. Okay. And I'm telling you now, I know it's a big zone, but ETH for me looks great from where it is right now all the way up here to $1,000. It's a big zone. I know it's a big zone. But for me, with the mindset, with the investment mindset that I have, it's a long-term thing. I'm not going to look at it every day. It's spot. It needs to chill. Okay. It needs to simmer there in the pressure cooker, in the slow cooker even. Okay. For me, this is a great zone. For me personally, from a technical perspective, to add to my position. That is a great zone. And I know it's a big zone, but for me, it's the best buying zone. Especially when I see this. Okay. It's part of my strategy, guys. When I see this, that's where I buy. But I'm very selective in terms of what I buy. Okay. Most of my altcoin portfolio are made up of like OG altcoins. Guys, I don't FOMO into all these new meme. I know there's money to be made, but I don't care. I'd rather have a stable portfolio. Okay. I've got... What do I have in my portfolio off the top of my mind? Maybe when I do the altcoin live stream, I will share with everyone what I do have in my portfolio. But I've got things like, what was it? Link. I've got Ethereum. I've got Litecoin. I've got XRP, believe it or not. It's back in my portfolio after I sold it. Now it's back in my portfolio. And ETH and XRP are the two coins that actually make me the most money during this boring bull market that we've had. Okay, but I mean also when you go here onto the max since 2018 and you see how little, how often do we hit this level? Once, twice. Since 2018, we've only hit this level twice. And I'm not talking about 10, guys. I'm talking about the 5, okay? The 5 level. How often do we hit that level? So for me, it's a great time to buy. I can only share with you what I do, but it's a great time for me to personally buy. Okay, but I can tell you now, I will still buy if we take the lows, because for me, this is my DCA zone. Not here, because I know that's where the retail is going to buy. Retail is going to buy, I think as soon as we start claiming this high, retail is going to start buying. Okay, I want to start taking profits. I want to take some profits here by the highs. And then you leave a moon bag open here for higher levels. Guys, please don't take these levels as truth. I'm just demonstrating to you the structure. Okay, I didn't put these levels at where I think it's going to go. I'm just demonstrating the structure. After a 1, you want to see a 2 and you want to see a 3 to the upside. And then a 4 and then a 5. So that's maybe a bear market. This has been a long bear market for Ethereum. Okay. Also, rule of alternation. When you have a long sideways wave 2, you can have a very short wave 4 and continue in a final 5th wave to the upside. Okay. And you can see it over here. Look at this. Okay. Look at this. Look at this wave 2. And look at this wave 4. Look how small it is. Rule of alternation. It plays out. People don't believe me. I did a short on rule of alternation and some people laughed at me. There you have rule of alternation. Long second wave. Short 4th wave. Short. Very short 4th wave. Rule of alternation. Or it could have done this and then you would have had a longer 4th wave and a 5th wave. Rule of alternation. It plays out very often, especially on the larger time frames. Okay, guys, for now we're still above trend. It looks like it could go. going to stay in that trade. I'm just going to let it play out. If we start moving higher, I will de-risk the position, start taking some profits. Maybe, who knows, this trade could turn out to be a little swing trade here to the upside, okay? And buy the blood. Exactly, Nico, buy the blood. Jackie Wood and his mom here in the live stream. Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. Popping in. On a small percentage portfolio allocation, I think the same with ADA. Yes, I actually do have ADA in my portfolio. Not a big bag, but I do have ADA in my portfolio. I don't think ADA, for me, guys, is my research, okay? From my research, I like what the project is doing. Mr. XRP here in the house. Alts will bleed this year. And for me, that presents a buying opportunity, guys, because a lot of people told me that why did you not sell in September when I said I was going to sell? It's because we did not have an altcoin season. My portfolio did nothing. The only two tokens that made me significant cash was XRP and ETH. And I did take profits on those two tokens. But we didn't have the Pi cycle top indicator. It never flashed. We didn't have a proper altcoin season. We didn't have an euphoric bull market. We didn't. And that's why I'm now just holding on. Because I know patience rewards. So if I'm patient enough, I can still make money on those tokens. I just have to be more patient. But I don't have crap in my portfolio. According to me, I don't have crap in my portfolio. I don't have all these fart coins and, all these meme coins that came out that, just pumped and dumped. I've got the OGs, Litecoins, ADA, Link, ETH in my portfolio. BTC moving slightly. Yes, I'm keeping an eye on it. Yeah, it needs to go. It needs to start accelerating here to the upside. Okay, hi Dewald. Hope this is not fake breakout. I also hope it is not a fake breakout, but I have my plan. Okay, my trading plan is as follows. Guys, and please don't FOMO into trades, okay? Unless you know exactly what you are doing. My trading plan is as follows, okay? I would like to actually close the trade over there. I have a relatively tight stop loss because I'm banking on the 112 or the 1112 here to the upside, okay? But I can tell you now, I'm not going to wait here to take profits. I will definitely start taking profits here. That's a nice little resistance area because I know price can still form a lower high and fall down. And when my TP1, this is usually what I do. When my TP1 hits, I protect position. So that if I get stopped with the profits. If it wants to continue, then I benefit more to the upside. And then I TP a little bit more to the upside. And you guys can see it here. I'm not just saying this, okay? I played along. Can you guys see this? Yes. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Let me make it a little bit bigger. Okay, guys. I played along, okay, but I took profits already when we hit the highs. So that if I get stopped out from the long, I have profits. That's I like to pay myself. I'm not a type of trader that just enters a position, close my eyes and just, this is the one. It's gonna go. Okay, it's gonna go. No, okay, it might not go. And then from the short, yeah, I didn't take enough profit from the short yet, but I'm using the short as a hedge against my longs. Okay, it serves a different purpose. The short for me was not really to make money, but to protect myself if I'm looking for longs if I get stopped out. That was basically the mindset that I entered the short over here, which was a little bit higher yesterday, but I did add to the position, okay, to maximize profits to the downside. But the purpose for me for this short that I'm in at the moment is that if I get stopped out from the long and I'm looking for another longing opportunity, it pays me to look for the long. It covers the fees. Maybe I get stopped out once or twice. It covers those losses. So this hedge was actually a hedge to look for the long and to protect myself when I get stopped out and look for another long. That was the purpose of my hedge. Okay, but I've already taken some profits and now we'll just see what's going to happen next. Right, legends, I've run out of time. I hope you guys have enjoyed the Ethereum analysis as well. Have a great weekend. I will see if I can do a live stream maybe tomorrow or Sunday. Okay, maybe it will be me and Andy. Maybe it will only be me. Maybe it will only be Andy. But we will give you the alpha. And for the community, if you are inside of the community, that's where we do all the updates. I'm sure Andy's going to pop in. I will keep an eye on the community the entire day as well. And if anything changes or I take profits from these trades, that's where I do all the updates. If you guys want to be part of the community, link down in the description. DM me the word access to get free access to our community. Just follow the instructions. Have yourselves a great weekend. Until the next one, cheers for now.